Hello and welcome to another Healthy Snacking Fridays. Today again, we're not going to be making a snack, but we're going to be making a meal. So you might have seen this meal on TikTok and it's going around all over social media and I wanted to try it out, so follow along. First, you just need a large oven-safe pan. This one is 9 by 13, but you can use any size. You can use 8 by 8 or 8 by 11, whatever you have. Again, you want to make sure it's oven safe. And then you're just going to add some grape tomatoes. I have two kind of smaller, containers. So I'm just going to take these tomatoes out and wash them. Some of the tomatoes still had the stems on, so I just took those off. So now I have my washed grape tomatoes. None of them have stems on them. I'm just gonna dump them right in. Oh, wait, one more stem. So I'm just gonna kind of flatten them out a little. And then the recipe calls for a block of feta cheese or like a circular container of feta cheese. I'm not really a fan of feta cheese, so I'm going to use Boursin and cream cheese. So I'm going to use both 1 block of Boursin and 1 block of cream cheese. But first, we're going to take some olive oil, drizzle it over the tomatoes. You can be a little liberal, it's fine. And then we're gonna take some salt and pepper and sprinkle that on. This is a super easy recipe, so I'm really excited. Now the next few ingredients are optional, but I'm gonna add some red pepper flakes. If you watch my other videos, you know I like things a little spicier. I'm also going to add some garlic powder. And I'm going to add some onion powder. So now I'm going to kind of mix it around, add a little bit more oil if it needs it. You can use tongs or a spatula. I just find, tongs the easiest to maneuver. And I don't actually think it needs more oil, so I think this is perfect, and it already smells really good because garlic and onion powder. So now we are going to take out the cream cheese. We're gonna use the whole 8-ounce block. I'm gonna kind of make some room because they're both gonna go right in the middle. And you don't have to let the cream cheese sit or anything. You're just going to put the block right in the middle as is. All right. And we're going to add the same, or do the same with the block of Boursin. And if you're using feta cheese, you would just take out the feta cheese from the container and just put it right in the middle, just like this. So the Boursin just has these kind of aluminum there we go. It doesn't matter where in the middle or how you place it. Here we go. Just needs to be surrounded by the tomatoes. So we're going to preheat our oven to 400, and then I'm just going to kind of place the tomatoes all around. The more the tomatoes are on top of each other, the juicier and more liquid there will be in this dish. If you have your tomatoes more spaced apart, they're going to become roasted tomatoes. So just depends on what you like. I'm not really a fan of roasted tomatoes, so I like to keep them on top of each other. Now we're just going to kind of flip it to make sure both sides of the cheese are like have some oil on it. And I'm going to just add a little bit more olive oil to cover the cheese. You can add a little bit more salt and pepper and other spices if you want. I'm just going to on the cream cheese because it looks kind of light. And I'll just add everything again. So that is garlic, salt and pepper, onion powder, and a little bit of red pepper flakes. Again, these ingredients are optional. If you don't like something, just don't add it. And I'm going to stir the tomatoes once more. Kind of keep the tomatoes off the cheese. So once your oven is preheated, we're gonna go ahead and cook this. You wanna preheat the oven to 400. So I'm gonna put this in the oven. My oven's now preheated. Again, that's 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're gonna cook this for 35 minutes. While this is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and cook a pot of pasta, any kind of pasta you want. Something with a shape is gonna hold the sauce better, so something like a bow tie pasta or maybe even penne are gonna hold the shape better than like a spaghetti or a fettuccine. But there are no rules. You can use whatever pasta you have, whatever pasta you want. All right, so the timer went off on the oven. I'm going to use my oven mitts and get the dish out of the oven very carefully. I placed down a trivet because we don't want to place a hot plate on a cold surface. So I'm going to put it right on the trivet. Okay. Here is what it looks like. Before I forget, I'm going to make sure I turn off the oven. I'm going to grab a fork. So again, this plate is very hot. I'm going to be careful not to touch it, but I'm just going to take my fork and start smashing the tomatoes. They're very juicy and some of them are squirting pretty bad, so do this carefully. You also don't have to use a fork. You can use a spatula, a spoon, honestly anything. What seems to work is kind of poking the tomato and then smashing it so that way it doesn't squirt out all over me. So I'm going to do that to all of the tomatoes. Again, as I'm going along, I want to express that the juice inside the tomatoes is very hot. So please be careful to not hurt yourself, burn yourself. The plate is hot, the tomatoes are hot, the juice is hot, everything is hot. So be very, very careful. If you want to wait a little bit to let it cool down a little and then do this, you can. I wouldn't wait too long. We still want it, hot or very warm at the very least. But I'm just gonna continue and smashing all of these tomatoes. Okay, so the tomatoes are all smashed. Now I'm going to mix in the cheese. So if you have feta cheese, same thing. Whatever cheese you're using, you're just going to mix it all together. If you didn't add any of the seasonings earlier, you can definitely still add them in. Some recipes say to add in some like minced garlic at this point, but I already added a lot of garlic, so I'm not going to add extra garlic. So I'm just gonna mix this now. All right, so now I'm going to add the pasta. You can take all of this and put it in a blender if you want. If you don't like the tomato skins, most people don't mind them, some people do. So you can actually just pour this into a blender and blend it so that it's all mixed together and fine, and there's not these large tomato peels, tomato skin. But I like them, so I leave them. Now we're gonna add the pasta. All right, so I poured the pasta on top, and now I'm just going to mix it. I usually go from the outside in. This helps prevent spillover, typically. You want to make sure all the pasta is mixed in. And then that is it. So now I'm just going to serve this in a bowl on a plate. You can add chicken or tofu, seitan, whatever your protein of choice is. You can mix some basil on top. Actually, that sounds good. I'm gonna do that now. So I have some basil leaves. I'm just going to put them in like this. So I'm just picking the leaf off. I don't want the stem. And then I'm just tearing the leaf until I think that's enough basil, but we really like basil, so I'm gonna add more. Okay, now I'm gonna mix the basil in. Just kind of folding it in so that it's submerged in the sauce. And then I'm also going to add some pesto. So this is pre-made pesto. It's really easy to make your own pesto, but we're talking quick and easy recipes today. So I'm just going to kind of, again, spread it around. If you don't like pesto, you don't have to add this in. And there you go. Quick and easy vegetarian meal. You can substitute whatever cheese you like. If you're a vegan, you can also use a cream cheese substitute and make it your own. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic weekend and enjoy some delicious pasta.